As we're rounding things out here, reacting to the quarterfinals, want to get some early thoughts on those semifinal games. So let's stick with the Orange Bowl first, since we were just talking about Notre Dame. The Irish are slight favorites right now as we're recording this Friday morning. They are 1.5-point favorites over Penn State. I think we've kind of set up the narratives here about Penn State and the opportunity ahead to do something to win the kind of games that James Franklin has not been able to win at Penn State. But again, for Notre Dame, they just won that, right? Like they won the game that their program had not been able to do for a couple of decades here. So you've got an elite defense on one side, you've got an offense with a lot of weapons, but again, maybe some questions about how Andy Kotelnicki is going to call the game. How do you big picture thoughts on the Orange Bowl semifinal?
I think it comes down to the defenses for either one of the teams. And I look at Penn State, they're built well in the front seven, and they need to be going up against Notre Dame because the strength of Notre Dame is the run game. It's more of a challenge because Notre Dame's personnel is better than Boise State, and you have to focus on more than just the running back. You have to be able to account for the quarterback, and that becomes a challenge too. But I think if Penn State can dominate with their front, the pathway for Notre Dame becomes much more narrow because we might actually have to see that game where Riley Leonard has to drop back and win on his arm. I flip it over to the other side. Notre Dame's secondary should have no problems bottling up Penn State's wide receivers. That group is not great to me. But I look at what Penn State has been able to do and the way that their run game has come on. They start leaning on dudes, right? And like they did it against Oregon, the Big Ten championship. They had some huge runs there. And then again, what in particular, the inside run for them against Boise State was a really good play. And I think Notre Dame's going to have to be able to say, okay, we're going to trust our secondary to get the job done. And we're going to have to figure out with our front how we're going to handle some of the quarterback run that they like to do, but the two-headed monster at running back. So I think the defenses are going to be the thing that will win or lose the game in the Orange Bowl.
We'll keep tabs too on Jeremiah Love's health and what he will be, if he will be available in the Orange Bowl, and what percentage. He said he wasn't close to 100%, which he doesn't need to be an amazing factor in this game. But we'll continue to see that some elite running backs in this game for sure. Cotton Bowl, I will be there. I'm excited for this heavyweight fight. Texas, not too far from Austin, getting to play this game against the Buckeyes. Ohio State favored right now, again, as of Friday morning, 6.5 points. Feels right, considering what we just saw from the Buckeyes. The keys to this one, I feel like, first off, there's going to be a lot of narratives about Quinn Ewers, who did technically start his college career at Ohio State. But the questions I've got is, Ohio State's been so dominant on both sides of the ball. I mean, I don't know if they're going to be able to be close to 100% still on offense and defense, but what's the formula, the big picture formula for Texas to stay in the game? That we're there to talk ourselves into this being a good game for how Texas can pull off an upset, win this game, or at least keep it close against a team that really has been firing on all cylinders.
All right, I'm gonna be the guy who does this. This is the game where I think Arch Manning needs to have a package or two. The reason I say this is I watched Ohio State against Tennessee. The only thing that hurt them was Nico using his legs, right? Like when he ran, that was the best offense that Tennessee had. You go back to when Ohio State played Oregon the first time, Dylan Gabriel had some really timely runs, right? I'm looking at when Ohio State played Nebraska. Dylan Raiola, who's not even a runner, was able to extend drives with his legs in that game. And to me, Quinn Ewers, between the ankle injury, and I think he's just a guy who is like very averse to getting hit because he's been injured before. I don't think it would maximize the thing that could hurt Ohio State's defense the most. So I'm not saying take Quinn Ewers out the game, but I think they should be prepared to have some packages where Arch can come in and be a little bit more dynamic using his legs, and especially with the running back room, who has done a phenomenal job with their injuries. But it ain't the running back room that they expected coming into the year. So I would say that's point number one for Texas. Point number two, I think they have to try to find ways to take the football away. Will Howard has been very comfortable throwing the football.
Extremely.
The ball still sails at times, right? Like a ball will be in the air and Jeremiah will go up and make a great play and Mecca will make a great play. Sometimes the accuracy isn't exactly where it needs to be. When the ball is up for grabs, and Texas has a really good secondary. These are two of the highest paid rosters in college football, by the way. Very talented teams that we're going to be looking at here. I think they've got to be able to capitalize on some of the havoc plays that they could create defensively against this Ohio State offense that has been unstoppable in the 2 games we've seen them in the college football playoff.
All these teams are 1 win away from playing for a championship, 2 wins away from winning it. What's really cool as well is that no matter what happens here, there will be a first-time national championship winning head coach. None of the 4 head coaches still alive have won this thing before. Very, very cool. And we will go deeper into the Cotton and the Orange Bowl previews a little bit later this week here on Rushing the Field. So subscribe, rate, review, hang out with us. We have so much more to come here the rest of the postseason.